These are the glorious seafaring days during the Napoleonic era, at the beginning of the end of the Great British Empire and the new beginning of the United States of America. Ships of the line were huge wooden galleons armed to the teeth with cannon and musket rifles. Sea battles would echo out across the ocean to the orchestra of relentless cannon fire volleys. And what a terrifying experience it must have been, but what a sight to behold. Hello and welcome, I'm SimUK, and it is my goal to provide to you the most honest, fact-based critical reviews on YouTube. If you find this review helpful, then please hit that like button, subscribe, and help to support the channel by donating via the links below. Thank you so much, and enjoy the review. Ultimate Admiral Age of Sail is a tactical wargame from the creators of the Ultimate General series, set amidst the epic naval campaigns in the period of the American Revolutionary and Napoleonic Wars. And on Steam it is priced at a very reasonable £24.99, with additional DLC set at £11.39. Now that was given free to all early access buyers, and in my opinion that is a nice reward for those early access buyers. The game is single player only, and it provides custom battles, historical battles, and 2 campaigns, with the third available via DLC. Game Labs sent me this review copy, and whilst I have become 100% immersed in the world of 18th century British Navy, I can actually see quite a few areas where Ultimate Admiral Age of Sail could improve. There are 3 tutorials which do an okay job of teaching you the basics. You might want to check out my own tutorials with examples if you're struggling to get to grips with the game, as the provided tutorials, in my opinion, are not ideal. My main issue with the tutorials is that the progress is at a pre-selected pace, which means if you miss something or you don't understand it immediately, then you have to wait for that video to go all the way to the end and start over. It would be much better if the videos were split up into smaller parts and then could be paused and or repeated on demand. That being said, the basics are covered there, but there is also so much more about Ultimate Admiral which is just not explained in enough detail, and that can leave some new or inexperienced players floundering. Multiplayer is not an option at this time, and I'm unsure if that's ever going to be expected or not. There are 2 campaigns available. One is set as the British and one as the Americans, and also the 1 DLC pack which will unlock the pirate campaign. Now, I started playing the first campaign, which is based under semi-historically accurate English rule, on medium difficulty settings, and I can assure you that a battle can swing from being overwhelmingly in your favour to you ending up being lucky to get out alive in a mere second. One mistake or a single well-placed shot is all it takes to swing the balance sometimes, and for me, that is great news. In the British campaign, you start out as a newly promoted lieutenant who has to take command of the fleet when both your superiors become immobilised. Off the back of your victory, if you manage one, you will be rewarded with a small amount of funds and 3 ships. Now, you must maintain and manage them all. This includes upgrades, officers, the crew and the weapons that they use for the Royal Marines, and that's important when engaging in land battles or boarding enemy ships. Unfortunately, food, which is one of the most important things in especially historical Navy terms, does not appear to be factored in to the game in any way, and I think that's a bit of a shame. In addition to everything that you have to manage, you can get these reward points for achieving goals in missions, and these will allow you to unlock and enhance special abilities and get access to more stuff on the research tree for less money. Now, the research tree is very expensive, and it's something that I haven't really got my teeth into yet, but I think it's going to be an absolute game changer, because especially at the beginning, the quality of your crew and the skill set that they have are so limited that it's easy to get wiped out by the enemy, even when you've got complete control of the situation. Now, the Admiralty will issue you with some optional opportunistic ventures that you can explore or choose not to, as well as demand certain actions to be taken against His Majesty's enemies, which are obviously not negotiable, but they are well rewarded if you succeed. It's the sea battles which are the meat of Age of Sail, and I'm pleased to say that it is very close to being simulation level. Ship speed and heel is realistically affected based on wind direction, sail rigging, and the ship type that you've selected, plus the weight and balance of the ship's armour and weaponry. Unfortunately, at least at this time, wind speed is not actually a factor. Cannon selection, heel, sail settings, and shot type will directly affect your cannon's range and impact. Turning will also impact on your accuracy, sometimes positively, but quite often making you less accurate. Staying downwind from your enemy is a good tactic then, as it increases your range and lowers theirs, unless they drop their sails, thereby righting their ship and increasing their own range a little more, but at the expense of speed. I'm not convinced right now that you can block or steal an opponent's wind, a tactic that's been used for hundreds of years in racing and presumably in combat too. It's a thing that's very difficult to test, and so far I've seen no evidence to suggest that wind direction is dynamic either. Changes in both wind direction and speed would really test captaincy skills, and I think it would add an extra layer of difficulty and potentially fun to an already excellent game. Enemy ships can be sunk by punching holes through the side armour or the hull, the side armour being the thickest part on the ship, and you can do that by using the generic cannonball. Various values denote how quickly and how accurately you can volley shots at the enemy. Crew numbers and their skill level, which will increase over time but will decrease if you flood the ranks with rookie crew. You can, however, recruit your own reserves or veterans, which are available at a higher cost. The skill set and the applicable skill sets of your officers, bigger ships having more officers, and of course the type and size of the cannon that you have selected, will all impact on the accuracy and the speed at which you can fire at your enemies. Firing is automated once in range, but you can also use a manual aiming tool to pinpoint an area to decimate. The damage can clearly be seen close up, but I actually question the way in which the damage system works. It seems that the side armour damage is attributed to just a single value, despite each volley having the potential to destroy precise elements of your enemy's vessel, like cannons for example. So why not have sections of armour instead of just grouping them together as one item? Each relevant hit type pops up in the top right corner of the screen to indicate any critical hits to various parts of the ship. I always try and aim at the ship's underbelly towards the bow, my thinking being that a hole here in the hull should be extra dangerous because as the ship travels forwards, it would force more and more water into the ship. And it seems to work, but lack of decisive information about inflicted damage does leave me a little unsure about how effective my tactics are. However, something I am pretty good at is, once I've damaged the side armour enough, is picking the right spot to hit and ignite their gunpowder stores. You'll get a nice explosion, destroying your foe in an instant. Or, slightly less effective, you can set your enemy's ship on fire, doing the same thing. I've managed to completely destroy my enemy about 8 times in 8 hours of gameplay, and it's very rewarding. You can also cripple enemies by destroying either the rudder or the sails and the rigging, although these two options I have yet to really manage to achieve. Now, the enemy have done it to me multiple times. Once, just as I was boarding a ship with less than half the men I had, and they absolutely destroyed my centre mast. That turned the battle in their favour considerably, and they finally managed to blow my ship up, the one and only time the AI have done it to me. It is possible, of course, to take command of enemy ships by boarding them, and great rewards await the capturing of enemy ships. To do this, you'll need to pull alongside at about the same speed and close enough to get grappling hooks onto your enemy's ship. Then the crew will try and pull them together as the enemy try to cut your grappling lines and escape. It's always a good idea to have superior numbers, and using the grape shot at close range is a great way to thin out the enemy numbers. Oh, they've taken our mast down. I told you they're more effective at it than we are. Sometimes an enemy ship will surrender way before their ship is stricken or their numbers are diminished, but be warned, they might change their mind and rejoin the battle at any time unexpectedly. Equally, a stricken ship taking on water and sinking might not be the end of the fight either, as the officers and remaining crew might well abandon that ship, try to sail to another stricken vessel, board it and continue the fight from there. It's a great feature of the game, but, frustratingly, I seem to be incapable of attacking these small boats with grape shot or even using the crew on the deck using rifles, and I do find that to be a little disappointing. Perhaps it's not gentlemanly behaviour, but it would stop them from getting to the ships. One additional modification I really do think should be added to the game is for the ability to select shot type for each side of my ship, and if possible, to be able to manually target more than one individual ship point, so I can have two different ships with two different targeting points and two different shot types. Now this might be difficult to implement with the AI that's currently in the game, but I think it would add a lot to immersion and realism. Now the AI for the enemies seem to be okay, and they do appear to be increasing in capability as I progress through the campaign. But on the occasion where I have placed my own ships under AI control, more often than not, rather than completing what I've asked them to do, i.e. attack a single ship, they tend to run aground. It's incredibly frustrating, and to be honest with you, I tend not to use the AI at all if I can help it. Battles can be fought at sea and on land, and disembarking your crew and having them row to the shore is another great feature of this game. Fighting on both land and sea, though, does require even more careful management of the men under your command and the weapons that they have at their disposal. Winning battles often provides you with additional weaponry as well as reputation points, which can be exchanged for resources and even additional ships and upgrades. Now the controls for land battles are pretty limited, and the way in which both movement and cover is implemented is questionable. There are no formations available, be it tight or loose formation modifiers, and instead there is a lot of clumping together and walking into one another as well. It's easy to accidentally redirect a unit when you're trying to click and drag and select them, and quite often if two units are in the same location, it's difficult to select the one that you want. In addition, buildings can be clipped through by units. A regiment cannot be resized or reshaped in order to fit into a type gap. So if you're trying to take cover in a field and you've got more men than fit in the field, instead of clumping together in a different shape, they will just spool out of the sides. And as already mentioned, cover doesn't seem to work very well at all in this game. On the plus side, it's a lot of fun to get into a land battle, and especially watching the volley of rifle fire and the resulting smoke drift across the battlefield. And to be honest, land battles are perfectly functional, but so much more could or even should be done with the units themselves. I'd also love to have the option to have captains somehow boost morale and stop your units from fleeing. Now my biggest concern with land battles so far is the way in which enemy cannon can both see and hit you if any of the enemy units can see you. Now in World War II you could explain this with radio communication, but it seems a little far-fetched to me, and they're just a little bit too accurate for the 18th century. Cannon fire is dangerous enough without this ridiculous implementation making it 1,000 times harder. This really is a wonderful example of a great era and a real joy to play, with vast and deep level of realism and simulation that I've absolutely thoroughly enjoyed getting my teeth into. You can watch, if you want, the full British campaign Let's Play series on SimUK Ultimate Realism. Now the improvements that I've mentioned I think would really improve the experience overall, but as it is, it's fully playable and actually really very enjoyable exactly how it is right now, with the exception of the tutorials, which individually are fine, but I think a lot of people are not going to get past the tutorials, and that would be a huge disappointment. Ultimate Admiral Age of Sail is definitely a quality title, with fun and passionate captaincy careers available to you. If you're interested in this era at all, or just have a passion or a penchant for tactical battle, then you're going to absolutely love the vast majority of this. There's not enough issues here that you need to be concerned about, but they are things you need to know about before buying the game so that you don't stumble across them or suffer the consequences of them at a later date. Hopefully I have given you enough information to enable you to either make a purchase or avoid this game if that's how you feel. And as the game updates and improves, hopefully some of the features I've mentioned in this review will be included. And if they are, then I will make an update video in order to inform you of the facts. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to hit that like button. Leave me a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this game. And until next time, take care of yourselves. Goodbye for now.